folks. This is the Colby College Career Center. This is a brief workshop on Holland interest theory that will prepare you for taking the interest assessment in Career Beam. So we're going to introduce the Holland Code today. There are 6 basic categories: realistic, people like things; machinery, investigative, ideas; artistic is a creative section; social is working with people; enterprising is working with people but in a slightly different relationship. It's more selling and influencing. And conventional is really a lot of structure and data oriented. A lot of people who like that orderliness. So let me introduce this to people. We'll introduce this whole theory to you a little slower than that. John Holland's theory is really that people, jobs, programs of study can be described as a combination of types. And the fact that you can link between your type of personality and interest to jobs or programs of study is there's a link between those two areas, your interests and jobs or majors. Everybody can be described using 3 or more types. We're going to just be happy if we can come up with 2 of the 6 types. Environments can be described in the same manner. Individuals will seek environments that have same or similar type as theirs. And if you do find a good match, people are happier, they tend to stay longer, and they can tend to contribute more. So I'm going to walk through these Holland 6 types again, a little slower, and I want you to think about which 2 best describe you as you think about what your interests are. So the first of the categories we'll talk about is realistic. These are people who like to work with their hands. They like tools, they like equipment, and they like to see tangible results. And they don't mind working alone. It's you'll see people they still work with people, but they don't mind having long periods of time when they're working with machinery. Investigative is the second one we'll talk about. These are, I think about this category as math and science oriented people. Sometimes math or science, but it's certainly that abstract thinking, the ideas, and again, these people prefer to work alone in general. So, I mean, you'll see pharmacists, and pharmacists work with people in this category, but they still long periods of time where they may not be totally interacting with people, such as a teacher or whatever. Artistic. These are the creative jobs. It is indeed art and music, but it's much more than that. It's the graphic design, even pieces of marketing fit into this, and it's often a second category. When you think about jobs, Holland says that jobs can be described in 3 types. It's really the underlying creative aspects of many jobs. The next category is social. These are people who like to work face-to-face with others, but it's in a helping, teaching, and counseling role. There's the next type in the Holland Code is also working with people, but it's a different relationship. So these are people who really like to work with others in that helping, teaching, and counseling role. Or enterprising, it's working with people, but it's in a selling, leading, and influencing other people. Conventional is the 6th category that we're going to talk about, and that's people who like a lot of orderliness, a lot of numbers, working with data. And there's lots of jobs that fit into all 6 categories. There's a place for everyone. So usually, again, Holland is expressed in a 3-letter code. 2 letters might be right next to each other, and that makes a difference on the Holland hexagon, and I'll show you briefly what that means. And you can self-rate, or you can take it. This is what we're doing right now. You're going to self-rate yourself and say, I think these 2 are my strongest. But then we're also going to show you and encourage you to take the interest assessment in Career Beam. So what can you do with this? Yeah, learn about interests and skills, help people find jobs, help people pick majors. And oftentimes understand, wow, you know what? I was in a bad fit, or I really like that job because it was a good fit. So here again is the hexagon. There's a method to the madness here. On the upper left, investigative and realistic, if you remember right, I said those were people who didn't mind working alone, didn't mind spending those longer periods of time alone. If you go across the pie to the lower right, social and enterprising, these are very much people who need that interaction, very verbal oriented. If you think about artistic up in the upper right corner, these are folks that often like unstructured situations, very creative, and then the conventionals across the pie, across the hexagon there, and they tend to like structure. So again, there's a place for everyone here in the Holland Code and in his theory, and sometimes you'll be right next to, if you are in realistic and investigative, there's a little stronger, there'll be more jobs that will appear. When you go across the hexagon, sometimes there'll be less jobs that will appear. But you'll see this, make your best guess, and then you also take an interest assessment here. So we're going to have you go to Career Beam, and the easiest way to get there is you go to your My Colby. There's a Career Center tab, and then you'll go to Career Beam. So let me switch. So again, you're at your My Colby tab, and then there's the Career Center tab. Now your screen looks a little different, but here's Career Beam right here. When you log in, this is your landing page. Lots of great tools in here, folks. But what we'd like you to do is do this assessment. So you're going to go to Career Exploration, Assessing Yourself, and yours will be, I think, green. It's a different color. I've already done the interest assessment, so mine shows completed. But you're going to go in here and pretty much just read this. It's going to give you a little sense of what I just talked about as well. You hit Continue. Here's the actual assessment, and the results will give you some indication. So my results came up with, human resources, education, mental health. Those all sound good to me. Now some of these not as much, but those clearly are on my radar, so to speak. And so they're going to give you some suggestions. Well, what you can do with this now is you can go to the Occupational Outlook Handbook, which is this website right here, and you can begin to do some exploration. You could start here in this broader category, occupational groups, and you could find human resources, which is, in one case, it's here under management. You could also just type in human resources and you'll get a bunch of hits. I like these broader categories because it may generate some other thinking. So these are management-oriented jobs. I'm going to scroll down to human resources, and here's this great resources, Department of Labor website, what they do, what's the work environment, how to become one, what's the job outlook, and then similar occupations. Tons of great information here. But in here, I would suggest you look at some similar occupations as a way to expand your thinking. And here's human resource specialists, labor relations specialists, training and development managers, and follow your instincts. What they do, what's the work environment, and that's why understanding your Holland Code is so important, is that you can now begin to do some more investigation and exploration to either confirm you're heading in the right direction or to actually expand your thinking and what might be out there. So if you have questions, please feel free to come to the Career Center and meet with any one of us. And for now, what we'd like you to do is go to Career Beam from your My Colby page, create an account, and go in there and do the interest assessment. All right, thank you.